Hey everybody, welcome back to the Botch Pit. This is Chris. I'm here with Nick.
Hey.
Hey! And we're just here to give you a kind of a state of the pit. Today we have Seth, Jill, and Lenny couldn't be here tonight, so we figured we'd still get together, kind of talk about some stuff going on. I mean, we hit over 1,000 subscribers. That's crazy and awesome.
Thank you all.
Like, a lot, because, you know, my wife's sick of hearing me, so I was hoping to find an audience. I just feel really alone all the time.
I'm always alone.
He's forever alone. So, yeah, thank you. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on, too, because of that. Like, we already planned on having a bit of a celebration with vampire stuff when we hit 1,000 subscribers, and we kind of wanted to fill you in on the direction with some of the stuff we planned on doing. So, yeah, Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah. Well, first of all, again, thank you to everyone. We wouldn't be here without you guys.
Oh, we'd be here, just nobody would be listening.
Yeah, exactly. We just exist.
We'd just be one more voice screaming into the void.
And the void screamed back.
For I have no mouth and I must scream.
But no, seriously, thank you all. It means a lot to all of us. You know, not just us two, but everyone else that are in the group as well. They couldn't make it here tonight.
Yeah. They've all been shocked. Even Seth, who normally doesn't get riled up about such things, even he said congratulations to us when we hit it.
Yeah, so again, you mentioned vampire.
Yes.
And specifically, what aspects of vampire, because everyone knows my
Well,
overwhelming opinion on the subject.
to be quite honest, it's a whole bunch of aspects. It's not any one angle. It's not like that. I said I would be making a bunch of vampire videos. So, I believe tomorrow night, I am finishing up the writing. Huh?
Don't give times.
No. Well, okay. Within the next few days, potentially the next day, I am finishing up the write-up on no less than 3 different guides. I'm already mostly done with 2 of them at least, and I should have the time to maybe possibly even record them and have them all up. So that'll be awesome. That'll be a whole bunch of my promises off the table, because God knows I love to promise guides and promise shit and manage to deliver about a quarter of it. But what's really important is that people know.
It's so true.
It's absolutely
so true. I give them so much garbage for it.
Well, for the record, I need to clarify that it's never me not wanting to do it. It's never that. It's that I really and truly believe I can. I truly and really believe that I can get that stuff done. And as you guys just heard, I assume you leave this in, Nick, because
No,
I'd like to have evidence A. I want evidence for this.
Sure, I'll leave it in.
See, thank you. That will be my crotch goblin screaming from the top of the stairs that he wanted ice cream. I have children, and anybody that has listened to our gameplay knows I have multiple children. In fact, I have 2 of them down here sitting here listening to us record. So anybody that's hearing us, don't judge me for being a poor parent and potentially swearing in front of them. It will happen, but they're used to it. So
I tell him to put on earmuffs.
yes, because he is a responsible adult and he doesn't live with them full time. Do you know what would happen if I had to tell them to put on earmuffs every time I swore in this house?
They'd just be walking around with real earmuffs all the time.
They would have fused. It would be evolution. Like, you'd experience a Darwinism exercise in evolution. Their hands would be fused to their ears. It would just
They'd grow a second set of hands.
They would grow. Yes, exactly. And it's very difficult to get all of the things that I promised done. And as of this point, I am done promising anything past what I've already promised. So here is a list of the things that I have promised that are next for me to do. I am going to do a bunch of the vampire celebration stuff. First and foremost, the one I can guarantee is Vampire the Requiem Fall of the Camarilla. And I want it to be clear, the reason that I started with that is because if I'm going to be doing things with Vampire, the Camarilla. First and foremost, I don't like the Camarilla. I don't like the Camarilla.
I hate Vampire, but I hate the Camarilla the most.
You hate Vampire because you haven't got a good full taste of the Sabbat. For the record, Nick, you keep talking about how much you hate Vampire. What book did you buy 2 weeks ago that you shared on Instagram?
The 20th anniversary edition.
Do you of what?
Vampire the Masquerade.
Nick, do you hate it?
I actually like 20th anniversary.
Oh, why is that, Nick?
Because I'm not playing as a Camarilla.
It's a thematically different game. Vampire 5th edition really, really strives to get back to the first edition ideals. It's far more political and romantic. I believe that, in my opinion, that's really why they pulled the Sabbat out. Because the Sabbat are absolutely a chaos element. You can do a political Sabbat game. You can. But it's different. It's like... So, when you're dealing with politics with a Camarilla, it's like chess. With the Sabbat, it's really more like Mutant League Football from Sega Genesis back in the day. If you really want to compare it to something, or some sort of violent blood sport. It's just not the same type of politics, but it is still dirty politics. V5 has the hunger system, which I adore. It's got the predator types, which I also adore. I love the design of the book. I think Modifius makes a world-class product with their books. So, I'm on a different level with you when it comes to V5, because I actually really do enjoy V5. You didn't get burnt out on V3 or V20. You didn't play in the AOL chat rooms. You didn't deal with the edgelords. You didn't have to deal with dirty secrets of the Black Hand. You don't know. You don't know. And part of you should be happy that you missed out on a lot of it. Because while you can grow to enjoy the Sabbat now and learn about them anew, you're not stuck with the people that played the Sabbat to be edgy. And there was a lot of it. There was a lot. Like a real lot. It's part of the reason why I moved away from Hunter so quickly when I played it. I'm sorry, when I moved towards Hunter so quickly.
Phrase which Hunter?
Okay, so... I should have... Alright, there were a couple... I started off with the Inquisition. And then when Hunter the Reckoning was coming out, I went over Hunter the Reckoning. And in between that time frame, I started kind of reading into Meiji Ascension. But Meiji Ascension is easily the most complicated Orbital of Darkness game. But I digress. You didn't have to deal with the bullshit from V3 or V20. For you, your first experience is V5. And you're like, well, this is just some romantic bullshit Twilight.
Am I wrong?
Madness. Yes. I do think you're wrong. I do. Maybe I presented it wrong to you. Maybe I failed you. Or maybe you just look at the art style of the book and you're like, eh.
No, actually, I agree that it's a very beautiful book, especially considering... Let's look at the art from previous vampire games.
Yo,
let's just throw it down.
Hold on. There is some excellent art in the older vampire
Absolutely.
stuff.
A lot of it was actually used and actually discredited for being used in Blade.
There is some of it that's not that pretty.
Yeah, but like, for example, like there's a documentary out there for people who haven't watched it that actually talks about the old world of darkness that actually goes into, you know, how it was all shot and the photographer around it. The name escapes me, but he's pretty famous, but he was actually ripped off for a lot of his stuff, and it was used in Blade. It was used, you know, of course we know Underworld and stuff like that.
If I remember correctly, White Wolf sued Sony and won.
Yeah,
because of Underworld.
Yeah, but a lot of his stuff was used in Blade, and like even like the guys that came after, I think it was it Guillermo del Toro? I might be mistaken.
Guillermo del Toro did Blade 2 only.
Yeah, but what happened was he basically said, okay, you're finally going to get credit for this, and he brought him on his staff.
Oh, so Guillermo did the right thing.
I think it was Guillermo.
That would make a lot of sense. That's typically what Guillermo does. Guillermo is a very stand-up guy.
Because he's like, you know, they ripped you off, and they didn't pay you for this, but we're going to pay you for it.
Side note,
the right thing.
Did you ever watch The Strain?
No.
You need to.
I actually watched the first 1 or 2 episodes. I believe I remember watching
You need to give The Strain more of a shot. It's
Okay.
fantastic. But what's really funny is the Strigoi from The Strain. They are legit the exact same vampires as the infected ones in Blade 2.
Okay.
He just was like, I really like these things I made. And he just picked them up and dropped them in his own story. Like, this is mine now.
I mean, there are certain vampire things I really like, but there's also some things I really don't like. It's very polarizing for me.
Okay, let's play a little game here.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe we should save this for a separate video.
No, we should do it now.
Because we're doing a State of the Pit. You really want to get into this now?
We could just do like a quick. Let's do a quick.
All right, what don't you like about V5?
What don't I like about V5?
Specifically, I'm asking you in a honest, non-sarcastic context.
Okay.
What do you not like about V5?
It's slow and I feel like I can't do anything.
Wow. Why do you feel like you can't do anything? Because that falls more on me than anyone else.
No, it's really because the whole state of being a vampire. You can't really do much.
Explain.
Like, well, just in terms of like just the, first of all, your day gets chopped in half. Let's just start with that.
Okay, you got half the time.
Yeah. Unless you get certain fortitudes. And
Not
you do
just
certain
that, you
things
can
like
actually,
that.
vampires can stay awake during the day. But I know you're saying
limited.
being able to go out in sunlight without coverage and stuff like that is a very difficult
The
thing.
whole
and
thing
not being
about hiding
sleepy.
in shadows and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know.
Okay,
For me
okay.
personally, as a player, I feel very limited by that. And
All
I feel
right.
as though that anything you do, you need to think to the 20th degree. But that's what being a vampire is, and that's just my
So it's the state
exposure.
of being a vampire itself that bothers you.
yeah.
A part of it, at least.
Yeah.
What? All right, so we understand the first thing you don't like is the state of being a vampire. Just the
So
overall
vampire-
state of being a vampire blows. Okay. Well, you are cursed. That's
Yeah.
kind of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that you presented it wrong. I'm just stating my opinion of what it feels like to be a vampire. It sucks.
Do you feel cursed? Because that's you are.
Yeah, it feels terrible.
It feels terrible. It should. God hates you. Yes, it should feel pretty.
Yeah, it should be
pretty
smited.
shitty.
That's why the God King hunters are coming for me.
Okay. Is that the only thing you don't like?
How hard it is to tech it all up. Like, what I mean by is like experience of the way it all works compared to like say something like Chronicles.
All right. So that's a tricky thing.
Because it's a completely different system with the
Well,
way you gain experience.
Not just that, but it's cheaper to buy things in Old World of Darkness or V5. Like, they cost less. So that's number one.
Uh-huh.
Number two, all right, so I've been tabletopping a long time, but I've very recently I've learning more and more about things that I thought were a certain way versus how they are. And the Chronicles of Darkness are far more... Let's talk about a benefit first. It's a very cohesive system.
Mm-hmm.
Overall. If you tried to cross a Vampire the Masquerade versus Mage the Ascension Mage, it required a lot of diligence and a good amount of bullshitting from the storyteller, because they had to take a look and see what made sense and what didn't, whether or not it was fair or not. And there were no real guidelines to it. They were loosely defined, but I mean, when you look at the different editions, the different types of supernaturals, I mean, supernatural versus supernatural in Old World of Darkness was a Gordian knot. It was not an easy thing to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Chronicles of Darkness is very crossover friendly,
Yep.
which is one of the reasons I like it, especially where I run zoo campaigns, But
Could you explain that for people?
actually, I had someone comment on it the other day, and
Yeah.
I did comment. A zoo campaign, once more, is any sort of chronicle or campaign that allows the players to mix and match what type of supernaturals they are. This player's a vampire, another player's a werewolf, another player's a mage, another one's a demon, nobody's a beast because nobody wants to read the book. So you have those sort of... it's a zoo, all sorts of different supernaturals. So when you talk Chronicles of Darkness, it's far more friendly in that capacity. However, it's also... I don't know. It feels almost big budget movie now versus certain other things. Like, now that I've been, I'm thinking back on my past experience with AD&D, D&D, Star Wars, the TSR Marvel, even the TSR, or not TSR, but the Wizards of the Coast, Star Wars. They all have different feels to them, these different games. And as I look at, we're kind of screwing around looking through Cult and taking a poke at that. Chronicles is just not as personal as other games. V5, the thing that I feel like they've managed to nail, is it feels far more personal. Like, now you're really pushed to do that relationship tree. That whole thing at the beginning where your characters, who they're attached to, who they're not. That's important now.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, but I'm pointing out why it matters.
Uh-huh.
Whereas you have... So, to anyone who... There was a brief edit here, just so anybody listens to me sounding disconjoined as to where I was. Chronicles is very cohesive, but it's not as personal. V5 is really pushing the personal aspect of things. Like, what were you in your former life, talk about your relationship map. Here's the type of predator you are. Hunger is no longer a, you know, you didn't play for V3. You don't know that blood used to be a blood point. Like Vampire the Requiem.
Uh-huh.
They got rid of that because points are a stat-based game. Vampire is not meant to be a stat-based game anymore. That's why if you read in the book, the rules for combat, they kind of suck. They're not very good.
I remember reading them and I thought they sucked.
They do. Whereas if you go read V3, V20, the combat rules are very clear.
Yeah.
And they're like, talk about how vampires can spend a blood point to half the damage from lethal to bashing. No, I'm sorry. All damage done to vampires from a lethal source is automatically turned to bashing, and they can spend a blood point to heal it. The only type of damage that a vampire couldn't heal was aggravated, and even then, if you had fortitude, you could do it. So, Vampire, back in the day, was very much like Chronicles is now.
That's probably why I like it.
It could be. So, with Vampire getting rid of the blood points and just going to the hunger dice system, it's meant to make hunger a thing that matters. Because before you'd be like, all right, so before I go play, I go feed, and then I go to meet the prince, or whatever bullshit it is. So, Vampire is meant to be more personal. Chronicles of Darkness is meant to be more action-y overall. And I mean, you could play it how you want to. You don't have to play Chronicles action-y. We do sometimes we don't. Our Hunter campaign, not overly action-y. And people loved it. A lot of people loved it. Our Geist campaign, more action-y, for sure. Definitely more of an Evil Dead to it, and I did that on purpose. People love it. So it really, it is what it is. So it's just, it's different. It's a matter of personal taste. So we started off this whole thing by talking about what guides were coming first, and somehow we went from Vampire the Requiem to this.
This is how it happens every single time, everyone.
Every time.
It just slowly devolves.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly devolves.
Quickly devolves, actually, into Nick coming out and saying, fuck it. Fuck vampires.
So, the stuff we're working on first is Vampire the Requiem, Fall of the Camarilla. I'm going to give the other guide, as I promised. The other two guides I promised, which would be Geist the Sin Eaters, Keys and Haunts, and Demon the Descent, the God Machine, which could technically just be a Chronicles of Darkness one as well. But considering how important the God Machine is specifically to Demon, I'm putting it in with that. And then more vampire stuff. A whole bunch more vampire stuff. I'm not saying what, I'm not saying when, but I'm going to go kind of hard on it. I did promise, and a special shout out to a dude who's been supporting us. Jura has been a really cool dude from down in Florida.
There's been a lot of cool dudes.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, Jura's been, like, super enthusiastic. Like, he pushes our guides on everybody. Like, he hangs out or works at a gaming shop, and he tells everybody about us. He pretty much single-handedly took our Facebook page and almost bumped it up by, I think, 170 people within a 2-week time span. Like, that's... So we really appreciate that. Wherever down in Florida, I told him I would definitely run a game for him. I don't know. He's good people, so thank you for that. And he wants a guide to the Gangrel. And the Gangrel are a cool clan. He wants Vampire the Requiem Gangrel. So I really haven't decided what guides we're going to do definitively for Vampire the Masquerade, aside from covering the Sabbat. I feel like they need to be talked about. Even... I mean, when I do it, I'll kind of talk about who they were, what they were before V5 made them into what they are now, and before they took my favorite clan and made them into traitorous rat bastards. So
Mine doesn't exist anymore.
which one was yours?
Samisi.
Oh, Zamisi still exists.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Most of the Sabbat kind of retreated into, they kind of just fucked off somewhere, and they waged a secret war. I forget all the details, but pretty much, with humans finding out vampires exist, like the human governments, and then them partnering up with the Inquisition, the Sabbat being far less subtle than the Camarilla did not work to their benefit. So now they're almost fighting against the Camarilla using guerrilla tactics. But part of the whole thing about the Sabbat was that they hated the Elders. And a lot of the Elders, again, have fucked off to the Calling, wherever they just kind of pieced out and went to do their own thing. So I'm going to cover the Sabbat, and I'm really looking forward to digging into Cult, Divinity Lost, and the Darker Days guys, the ones that pushed that I paid attention to. Like that really got my attention when they were like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Chris is kind of like the V25 guys. Like certain people, if they tell me to listen, I listen. Like they're like, check this out. I'm like, all right, cool. That's why when it comes to Vampire, I tell you, like, come to us for sure. I love talking about Vampire, but if you want the real experts on Vampire, you go check out 25 Years of VTM. They have covered every single book, each with its own like hour-long recording, with these two dudes who have like a eidetic memory for this shit. Like it's obscene. It's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to digging into Cult. It's dark. It is dark. Like some guy on YouTube, I think his name was Michael E. He unsubscribed to us after hearing Seth play his ghost. He pretty much said this ghost just wants to murder people and eat their ghosts or some shit. And
it was in the Sin Eaters campaign.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for the Sin Eaters campaign.
By the way, Seth loves He Has an Enemy.
Yeah, oh, he loves when I told him, he was like, all right, cool. Seth is just anti-people. So when he found out he pissed someone off.
He's an arch nemesis now. I love it.
First off, that dude Michael is cool anyways because he commented and listened. He actually said that it sounded really good up until that point.
Yeah.
Some people, the dark stuff just isn't for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably thinks it's just mindless murder, not understanding that the character has a reason to do what he's doing.
Yeah, development. But you
Yeah.
introduced him in a certain way where that wasn't strictly apparent.
I mean, let's be honest. We're not going to see a lot of character development from his character.
No, he is a one-man murder machine.
But he was a serial killer in life, and he got a death mask, and now he made a binding agreement with the underworld to bring ghosts down there. The way he looks at it is, okay, cool. It doesn't really matter how I get the ghosts. If I kill people up top, I have a ghost to bring. And according to the backer PDF of Geist, it kind of mentions that when they do that thing where they drop chunks of a building into the underworld or all that shit, they're like, well, hey, if people die during that, that's just one more ghost to bring down. So it's not unfathomable that a serial killer that got a death mask and became a Reaper would follow that sort of logic. And if Michael had actually, we don't have all of our sessions up, there are human sides to Eflin that people haven't gotten to hear yet.
Yeah.
Like, you can't judge
My
a
fault.
character based on a zero. No, well, yeah, but
Sorry, guys.
now
They
for the
take
record,
30 hours apiece.
that guy that unsubscribed, he also said it sounded great.
Yeah. Good.
So again,
Should.
sometimes the dark.
Kidding.
Part of me thinks that
No,
we should
I'm
put
not.
like a content advisory thing on some of our games. It may not be a bad idea.
Maybe.
I mean, it's Chronicles of Darkness, dude. Like, I mean, it's in the title. It's called Darkness. It's not like
Well, it's actually called Geist of Sin Eaters.
in the Chronicles of Darkness setting.
Yeah, but
Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
I'm being a dick right now.
It's regardless. It's in the Chronicles of Darkness setting.
Ghosts go all the way up to 10. Damn it.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this. Nick is having issues with conflicting ranks of ghosts. Now, allow me to tell everybody how it is in case you haven't listened to my video. The ranks.
Re-explain it for us, please. Re-explain
All right, Nick,
us.
I need you to shut your goddamn mouth while I do it. All right? Because I know you're going to want to pipe in every
I am.
2 seconds.
And I'm going to correct.
Here's how it's presented versus here's how it is. Not to rail against any of the writers or whatever, but you done fucked up on this one, so I'm going to clarify it. Obviously, in case you couldn't tell, we are not paid by Onyx Path. So, Geists in...
Got ya,
Ghosts
motherfucker.
work in a ranked system. And ghosts and denizens of the underworld go in a ranked system. They're considered ghosts for the sake of ranking. Okay? I'm being very careful with my words as Nick is just waiting to pick me apart. Rank 1 are just mindless, stuck in a loop of how they died ghosts. Or maybe pets that died.
Blobs
Or
of goo.
Blobs of goo, yeah. Or even like certain things that were broken that rematerialized could be considered a rank. And it would be a rank 1.
Like a broken gun,
There you
right? That could have become a Geist, right?
No, it can... shut your mouth, Nick. Rank 2, kind of like the way they work with everything in Chronicles of Darkness. Rank 2 is just standard normal. Everything is normal about them except for the fact that they're dead. They are just normal people that, all right.
So are you saying ghosts have humanity?
I'm not saying that at all, Nick. And I'm not letting you
Do
trap
they
me.
have virtues and vices? Because ghosts do in the character creation.
We are going to carry on with this and ignore everything you're saying. Rank 2 are normal people aside from the fact that they're dead. So it's also very important to note that in Chronicles of Darkness, ghosts are not souls. The souls have moved on to where they're supposed to be, and this is the leftover memories and bullshit that could not let go of something or didn't want to move on. Okay.
What
so,
also aren't they, Chris?
I'm ignoring you.
Not souls. They also aren't spirits.
They're not spirits. Spirits are in the realm of animism, or the the realm of shadow from Werewolf, which you have to pass through something called the Gauntlet to get through. Please ignore Nick trying to pull me off the rails here. I'm struggling.
Because I'm not wrong.
Rank 3 to 5 are different animals. If a ghost drinks from the waters of the underworld, they lose a chunk of their memories and who they were, but they also increase a lot in power. It is at that rank where you have what you would call geists that are capable of binding and becoming one with sin eaters. Now, also among that rank is a ghost that finds a death mask.
Before you get to that,
Yes,
what is the delineation between a rank 3 and 4 ghost? You group them all together.
it's just power. It's just
What
power.
is the delineation of that power?
Literal stats?
They don't exist.
They do.
They-
do.
they
They're
do
in the
not.
Geist of Sin Eaters Backers PDF. Yes, there is.
I looked
Because
that up.
it talks-
They do not exist.
You're wrong. Because it
Good,
tells
'cause
you
I'm
how
not-
much essence you can have. It tells you how much you can burn per turn. It tells you what sort of the power, finesse, and all that bullshit that can be arranged. It is in there. It is.
It actually
Or-
doesn't delineate, though.
It's literally just power levels. It's the same shit, different power levels. It is. It's the same thing, but different stats. Now, also, though, at that level of rank, starting at around 4, I believe, you could start coming across the Chthonians, which is the shit that has never been alive in the first place and just exists in the underworld and always has. Yes.
You said 4.
I know I did. Starting at 4, I believe you can find the weakest of the Chthonians. Now you can 3 to 5, you can get your Geists and your Reapers. 3 to 5, you can
Don't
have
bring
Geists.
Reapers into this yet.
I have to, because
Then go back and
I already
restate.
did. I talked about Reapers already. I said
No,
when-
you didn't. You actually
said-
didn't from our recording.
Okay.
Not being a dick.
Okay, so I'll say it again just in case. So when a ghost finds a death mask, which is the leftover remains of a dead Geist, not the Sin Eater, but the actual powered up ghost that died, that was attached to the Sin Eater, and the ghost puts on that face, it makes a binding agreement with the underworld to funnel it down more ghosts from Twilight for the underworld to kind of slowly live off of and siphon their essence off of, or their corpus, however you want to say it. So that's what a Reaper is. And a Reaper, like a Geist, can exist between ranks 3 to 5. Starting at, I believe, rank 4 is where you'll find the weakest of the Chthonians, which are the things that have always lived down there, and supposedly can kill a ghost or a Geist with a single touch. Supposedly. Now, when you hit rank 6, you come across your death gods, or the chthonic gods, which may or may not even exist. Those are the things that really... If the underworld is a stomach, that's what the stomach gives the nutrients to. That's who that is. So, those rank 6 chthonic gods, which may or may not even exist, that's pretty much the top tier of power. However, in one of the books, it says it goes rank 0 to 10.
So what's a rank 0 ghost, Chris? What is a...
It's non-existent. There is no rank 0. I've yet to find anywhere in the books where a rank 0 is. And I've yet to find anything in the books what rank 7 through 10 would be.
Why
so
is
in
6
reality,
afraid of 7?
7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9. But
So-
yet there's still 10.
So, really, if you're actually following the book and paying attention, ghost ranks only exist in the books between 1 to 6. So that is what I take between going through Geist First Edition, Geist Second Edition, Chronicles of Darkness, the core book, and Book of the Dead. I used all of those to base this judgment on. I went through all those for the guides I did. That's where they exist. That's it. I don't know how you got me to this point. Why do you have me talking about this again?
Happens
this is a
every
state
time.
of the pit. It's a state of the pit, Nick.
It's a state of my pit right now.
All right. So I just want to address some other stuff regarding where we're at with the subscribers and our future stuff going on now that Nick has managed to completely side rail me here.
Talked about vampire for 10 minutes, so I'm going to
Dick, and you kept me talking about it. So we've covered...
He listened to me.
We covered what guides are going next.
Your guides.
My guides. You will have your one guide within the next year that'll come out for the... hold on, you did the Longest Night. The next is the... Spear of Legenius? No. No. It's the... You said they were going to come for me the other day in a tweet.
Yeah.
I forget. Who is it?
I think it's Thul. I want to say it's
Followers of Thule. It is.
Followers of Thul.
Yeah, Followers of Thule's who you're working on next for your Hunter books.
Yep. There's other things happening as well.
He's doing sessions.
Yeah. Besides that.
What else? What is it?
It's a secret.
Are you working on a secret guide?
I'm working on some stuff, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're not telling me, Nick?
Well,
All right, fine.
originally I was going to do Book of Spirits. I was going to do Innocence. I was going to do Reliquary.
Oh, man, yeah. That's a chore.
Yeah. And basically, I'm going to say it right now, just so it's completely out of the open. I know we've kind of said it before. Some of these books drain you.
Yep.
They physically drain you.
Especially the launch titles from when the Chronicles of Darkness books came out.
Yeah, and they're I won't say, more than a chore to read.
Punishment.
Yeah, and what you try to do is try to take this information, digest it, and regurgitate it in a very, research...
and educational way?
Yeah, almost like a research paper. And some of the stuff just doesn't make sense.
A little bit of
sometimes.
background here. The reason, so Nick in our chats calls himself the queen bitch of the realm of madness. Of beauty and madness?
Wrong.
Go ahead.
I'm the primordial queen bitch of the realm of beautiful infinite madness.
Okay. So allow me to explain how we got to that point real quick. Nick and I were working on guides. When this whole thing first started, we talked about it. Nick wasn't fucking with guides. He was helping me. He was listening to my recordings and dealing with my shit, and he was doing the gameplay sessions. But he wasn't doing guides. And I was talking to Lenny one night. We were talking about how I was about to start diving into Hunter. And I went, fuck it. Nick loves Hunter. Nick's ass is doing Hunter. And I was like, Nick, do Hunter. And Nick kind of went, oh, okay. And he did. And then we have where he's gone with the guides. But he originally had a goal where he was going to go systematically through a whole bunch of the original New World of Darkness launch titles.
Yeah, and we did do some of them.
Oh, absolutely. And you did a great job on them.
Skin Changers.
Part of the problem is you did a good job on them. Because that requires a lot of due diligence and research.
Yeah.
And because I cram like 4 books at a time. Like, I know how you do it. So he calls me up one night and he is just defeated. And I knew he was working on Book of Spirits, and I warned him. I was like, that is not a fun read.
I warned him about those stairs, man. I warned him about those stairs.
Seriously, I was like, dude, that is not a fun read. I was like, I gotta warn you, it may have some entertaining parts, but it's not a fun read. He was like, no, Chris, I need to go in order. I have my way that I do my books.
What is a lotus?
And Locus.
Whatever. It shook me to my core.
And he calls me up and he's just like, I really just kind of want to swallow my own tongue right now. Like, he was really, really wrecked. And he was on the edge of just not wanting to do guides anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I could absolutely see it. And Nick's the sort of dude that if he stops doing guides, he's not going to want to do the gameplay sessions either, and he's not going to probably want to play. He's going to be like, if the game line has books like this, I don't want a part of it. Like, I feel like that's how he is.
If it's so far flawed, why am I putting the effort in to try to learn it?
And I said to him,
if I'm thinking that way, there's probably a billion other people
there are.
that think the
I know
exact
for a fact
same.
there are. I know people that, yeah, I know. So I said to him, I was like, Nick, stop. You need to read something entertaining. And he really railed against me. He was like, I got to keep in order. I got to keep in order. He was like Rain Manning it on me. And I'm like, stop. I was like, here's what I want you to read, Nick. And this is before 2nd edition, right? This is 1st edition still.
No, this was 2nd edition.
Was it 2nd edition?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had the PDF. Yes. And I was like, Nick, go read Changeling. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, Nick, it's a breath of fresh air. It's a really cool premise. And I think you're very inventive. And I think the madness part will appeal to you. And he went away on a business trip.
Business trip to New York, and I took the Amtrak from Boston. Well, no, it was more where it's not South Station, but it's one right after South Station. And I was going
North Station?
No. And I was going to New York City. And it was late at night, so I mean there wasn't much to do, so I had my tablet with me and I was reading. And I shotgunned all of Changeling the Lost. All of it.
What'd you think, Nick?
Oh. I loved it.
And what did it do? What did it do to you, your idea of the Chronicles of Darkness again?
It reinvigorated it.
Yeah.
Honestly. There are some books out there that just want to just die.
You see, I think it needs to be said again. Nick and I are very well read now at this when it comes to this stuff, but it needs to be said too. Nick didn't start tabletopping until December 16th.
No,
January 16th. January 16th of 2018.
Yeah. I'm brand new.
He's still really new. So he also, and this is going to sound really cocky, he doesn't understand my expertise when it comes to this forum, because we're both video gamers. But this was my real love for a long time. And I know that no matter how much you enjoy anything, there are some really shitty parts of it. Like, there are some books that were punishment. I have played some shitty RPGs, and I've spent so much time reading Chronicles of Darkness stuff that I know they're shitty books. And I mean no offense to Onyx Path or anybody this. I mean, a lot of the writers who did this aren't even involved with it anymore.
Yeah.
But there are some books that... So, when the New World of Darkness launched...
And likewise, just to add on to that, there are also really a lot of talented people, not only within Onyx Path, but also within the Storyteller's Vault.
Yes, absolutely.
There are a ton of talented people there.
I have found... I don't want to say anybody. I mean, but Falco Studios, obviously Chris Falco. He's awesome. Chris from Darker Days, the whole Darker Days crew, but Chris, all of those guys, they're fantastic.
There's
stuff.
countless others, but for every and I look at life the same way too. For every one bad thing you find in something, there's always 10 good things. So although we're here complaining about,
I don't even want to say we're complaining. I feel like critiquing.
Sorry. Wrong word.
Like, for the record, a lot of the books that we're talking about that we're saying, were pretty painful, we still both bought them.
Yeah.
And I bought them day one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm looking over here right now. The thing is, before they came out and actually released Vampire, Werewolf, and Mage, when they relaunched the line, they put a whole lot of fluff out there to keep you busy and really kind of push almost an X-Files, kind of mystique sort of game. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. But definitely a lot of fluff. Book of Spirits, fluff. Ghost Stories, fluff. Mysterious Places, fluff.
Urban
Legends, fluff. Midnight Road, fluff. But again, for everyone, Reliquary is,
depending on how you use stuff. It reminds me a lot. I had all the guides for Armory Reloaded, Hurt Locker. I put it kind of somewhat
like
in that vein.
Like we just said, though, let's put it on the flip side.
Yeah.
For those books that you have, the shitty ones that we kind of mentioned, sorry, they're shitty.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone. They're shitty. They're boring. I sounded like Dennis from Always Sunny when I said that for some reason. Channeling my inner Dennis. You have Second Sight. You have Inferno.
Yeah.
You have Book of the Dead, which was actually a Geist book. But there's some good ones, too. I mean,
Immortals.
Slasher, but that was a Hunter book.
Yeah.
So, unofficial. It's kind of the same with Book of the Dead, like unofficial.
Yeah.
So, there's some really painful ones, but so to anybody out there, if you're ever thinking about giving up on a game line because one of the books is not holding your attention, that does not mean the line is shit. That just means be patient and find one that matters.
Change it up.
Yep.
That's basically the end of it.
Yep.
But you kind of blew open my cover of what I'm going to be doing next.
I did.
Yeah. I own almost every single Changeling book now. So now
but Changeling is mine.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yes. Here's the catch. Here's the catch, Nick. Can you get them up and out before I can?
Yeah, because mine will actually be, full-fledged videos.
When? How? Explain.
They will.
Is it just they will?
Yeah, they will.
Will they be correct like your demons?
Yeah, they will be. Not wrong. I'm going directly from the book. The book was wrong.
The book was wrong. like the book was wrong.
Speaking of wrongly written sections, well, again, that was during a time where everything was turbulent.
Also, I think it's also very important to say, if you guys ever hear Nick and I arguing, or you see us arguing even on Twitter, it's just what we do. It's actually not anger. There's no frustration. The pit is not tearing itself apart. I mean, yet.
The pit's worst enemy is itself.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody from the outside will touch us. We're strong, but we're very united.
Apes together strong.
The problem is when you take all the enemies away.
Yeah.
We're like,
This is what a demon is. One of these ranks of ghosts. Fuck you. Kerberoy Court. Kerberoy Court.
Seriously, Kerberoy Court. Nick, Haunts aren't used with keys are only used with Haunts, Nick. What?
I was,
Middle of the session, about to get my ass kicked.
I was wrong. I was wrong.
But he sounded so sure. And he
I
kept
was.
pushing the agenda.
But allow me to
and I
clarify.
fought back.
Hold on, though. I'm pretty sure in first edition it worked that way.
Oh, absolutely, you did in first edition.
So that's why I was like, And then I'm reading through again. I'm like, oh, wait, you can choose to take the doom automatically, and then the key boosts your powers. And you were just like, I'm going to murder your face. You're like, I want to fucking kill you.
Craig Eflin's gonna fucking touch this kill.
Like, legitimately, Nick wanted to physically harm me. I woke up at night, like, he stayed up until 3 a.m, seething and researching. And I woke up at 9 a.m. the next day to just like a 2-block long text message of just miscellaneous and inventive ways telling me to fuck myself with a soldering iron.
He woke up to a gun to his head, effectively.
He was just pissed. And then I was just like, you really gotta calm down. He's like, fuck calming down.
Get your shit together, storyteller. But
Listen.
anyways, it's always in good fun.
Oh,
It's never-
absolutely.
We're never ever really mad at each
No,
other.
actually, I think we've gotten. I don't know if it's the right word to say. We've gotten mad at each other.
Yeah, about
We
the
just don't
ghost ring.
stay mad. It doesn't. We're not permanently mad. We just don't agree, and we're both arrogant, and then we're both like, all right, okay. Then we find something either in the middle, or just we're content telling the other person to screw. The end. That's it.
And we make a joke out of it usually. Like,
Yeah.
The whole ghost ring thing's a joke at this point.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, I can say what I have, and I can say what are facts based on what's through the books, and nobody can prove me wrong. But the one thing that can prove me wrong is the page number that you have that says 0 to 10. And it just comes down to the fact that Chronicles has an allergy to using any number not divisible by 5.
It's so true.
It's just they have a blatant allergy. It's like Half-Life. It's like Valve making part 3s to anything. It just doesn't happen. So,
So yeah, there's a lot of guides coming along.
yes, a lot of guides. We have a lot of gameplay sessions. So, we have like, I think 7 sessions in the can.
Yeah, there's a lot backlogged only because, like, again, just so people understand what actually goes into this stuff. A little bit about my background.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know.
It started when I was a young boy in Weymouth.
Like, again, like Chris said, I'm not really, or wasn't really, I should better phrasing, really super into tabletoping my entire life. So what did Nick do? Nick did audio.
Nick is legitimately a Hollywood-level producer.
No, don't say that.
You are. You are.
I wouldn't say,
You
no,
can't even
producer's
say-
different
Nick,
than engineer.
Okay, engineer. Okay. You are a Hollywood level engineer, and he legitimately can't say the people that he's worked with
Yeah, it's true.
during this recording because of who he has worked with.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say a lot of things. There's certain things I could do without Nick, but it would all sound like and like, even now, I'm not, some of my videos, I'm still learning how to not sound like because I've never really dealt with this before. At least you can tell I'm not using my webcam mic or anything like that.
Yeah, it's 'cause
but
I did the recording.
what's that? What was that?
Because I did the recording.
No, even on the first session, because I still
Yeah.
used the snowball I had.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like, you don't use a webcam mic. You don't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come through clear. You can't listen to it like portably. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
And it comes down to environments too. Like, for example, the environment we're in right now.
Less than optimum.
Yep, less than optimum is a good word.
You like that? You like how quick I busted that out? What he means is, we're in my basement. I have 3 children, my nephew, my sister-in-law, my wife, and they are thumping around, and I think they just finished showering.
And there is actually, the water pipe right next to us. There is a vent behind us.
And above us.
Yeah, and above us. And nothing's insulated.
I have 2. That's not true, Nick.
No, you're right.
For
you have
anybody,
2 small strips of insulation on your entire ceiling.
actually, that brings us to my next point that I'm going to discuss.
Yeah. No. So when you hear these recordings, a lot goes into them. It takes time. Like, for example, that first Geist recording took about 32 hours. 32 hours of working on it. Yeah, just so you understand that why everything is backlogged. We're constantly trying to push it out as quick as we can. Sometimes it requires, a little bit of patience. But I'm sure you guys all understand.
Well, I mean, judging by everybody's comments when they listened to Geist, the way the voice work comes through and the sounds in the background and the music that shifts.
Yeah.
I mean, even down to the subtle fact that when I go to explain something out of character, it changes to like a trademark music to tell that I'm speaking as the storyteller.
Yep.
And that's really cool. I didn't tell Nick to do any of that. I didn't think of that. Like, that was just completely Nick. I mean, back a year and a half ago when we were recording our vampire sessions, when Nick couldn't come over, I used a conference mic, and I had all the players lean in close to it when we rolled. It was ghetto as hell. I still have it.
Yeah, setting my spitefulness toward vampire that much deeper, because even when I showed up, my stuff didn't come out. It was always those microphones.
Yep. So let's move into the next topic, because I feel like it's something we need to discuss and how we're going to move forward with it. So the question has come up from more than one source why we don't have a Patreon yet. And there's a couple of different answers to that. And I'll definitely pass this over to Nick at a certain point, because his view and mine are different and similar at the same time. My view on Patreon, or any sort of supporting measure for a broadcaster, like we've been talking to another group named Co-op on Twitter and stuff like that, that's got some really cool stuff going on. But the primary reason we haven't gotten on board with that yet is our first focus is building our fan base. We want to make sure that we're delivering entertainment and quality resources to the people that listen to us. And we don't want anything to get in the way of that, because once money gets involved with anything, things get a little wacky. So I'm going to be honest with anybody that wants to hear us. We've hit past 1,000 subscribers, and we probably are going to monetize. Now, here is why we're going to do that. I, for one, am recording on a 2015 model of Windows service with a crack on the screen, connected to a USB microphone that I use for my recordings. It is not... There's a reason why Nick's recordings, aside from the mic in general, are sounding the way they do. Nick has access to a suite of tools that I do not. And I'm going to be upgrading my machine. I need to. I need to upgrade my recording methods. I just do. And I own a home. I've got 3 kids. And I have a solid career and stuff I'm doing. But I can't put money away from everything I'm doing on my world outside of this to put into this until I have money coming into it, if that makes any sense. Nick, it looks like you have something you want to add in already.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish talking.
Is anything I'm saying inaccurate so far?
No, not from your perspective, no.
Not from my perspective. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about this shit. He's a jet setter. He's a fucking playboy over here. So
I'm Batman.
He's Iron Man. Aren't you more of an Iron Man?
I'm both.
You can't be both.
I can.
No.
Yeah.
No. Now, so that's where the YouTube monetization goes in. As far as Patreon goes, and this is the truth of it, I've had a number of people ask us why we don't have one of them yet. And the fact of the matter is, if we're not giving something back, we don't want to do it. We don't just want to collect money and just sit on it. We're not going to do something you guys can't appreciate with it. We're not going to say that, I don't know, give us money for this sort of show or this sort of cosplay and then not show you what it is. If it's something you're going to give us money for, you deserve to get something in return. And we've been having, you don't want to set up a fan funding sort of service when you don't have the fans yet, or else it just looks like a cash grab. It's like, hey, I'm only doing this so I can get paid. So pay me. We've had some recommendations, and it's something that I'll toss out there to see what people think as well. I mean, we'll toss out some ideas. But we are more than likely going to do something like that. We have plans in the works. We just want to make sure that when we do it, it's supporting us in the right way for the right reasons, and it's not just us being like, oh, sweet, we're making videos so people give us money. Right? So, I mean, we've had people recommend that we set up the Patreon and maybe put out modules and recommendations that come directly from us, or based on my games, or based on my characters and stuff like that. And I'd like to do that, but I need to see what I am allowed to do, to be quite honest, because I'm friends at this point with a bunch of the writers from Onyx Path. I've spoken to people that work with Modifius. I mean, years and years ago, I applied for work with Eden Studios. I think they're defunct now, but Paizo, we're an affiliate of Paizo. So we've got a whole lot of stuff working, but we don't know what is stepping on toes, what is not. We want to stay friendly with with not just the community. Like, we love the fans. We make that clear. I don't think there's only been one content on our YouTube channel that I didn't reply to, and that's because I don't know how. And you guys are amazing, and we don't want to rip you off. Long story short, like, we see people that come out the gate and they're like, hey, I've made 2 videos, go to my Patreon. And it's offensive. It's literally like, kind of like, wow. All right, so are you doing the videos so people support your Patreon? And that's is a difference, because when you have people that paint or do arts and crafts and they have a Patreon, that is an expensive hobby. Period. You know what I mean? That is a constant expensive hobby. Like, you're buying art supplies, you're buying paper, canvas, all that stuff. When you're a YouTuber starting out the gate, you more than likely haven't put much money into it. It's a free platform. And if you're just making videos and you're speaking into your webcam and you're like, hey, fucking pay me, I don't know, it bothers me on a fundamental level. It feels like I'm just doing a cash grab. If we have a Patreon, you're getting something. So that's my stance on it. That's my view. Nick and I are in talks about it, and we're debating how we're going to proceed. So I'm going to pass over to Nick so he can give his view, because he's going to agree with me with a bunch of it, but he's going to have his own views, I'm sure. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So let me start by this.
And to buy books. It would be if we did do that, it would be, if we did do what we're talking about, it would be for recording equipment, to soundproof where we are, and books. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So from my perspective, in terms of just Patreon in general, I am
fan supporting, we'll say, because there's other, like co-op and stuff like that.
Yeah, we can say that, but it always gets a bad rap because people abuse it. And it goes rampant abuse. Like, I've seen, even just in the channel space of YouTube, people that have maybe 20 subscribers. That was the recent one I saw this week, throwing you out there, where you've already have a Patreon saying to support your work. That bothers me fundamentally, because I'm a very self-made person.
Self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, but also self-made. Like, all the stuff we're recording on right here, I took the time to not only learn all of it, but I purchased it all myself, before even attempting to ask this. So for me, it is very offensive.
Nick
Patreon.
spends on equipment what I've spent in books.
But no, but that goes into it. Like, for myself, I've seen it abused all the time. I used to be in the cosplay circuit. It's rampant, just with, all this crowdfunding stuff. A lot of people use it for stuff that they, don't want to pay for themselves. And it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. I see its benefits. I also see the negative stigma that comes with it. So it's in my perspective, a very precarious situation.
So it seems like to me, long story short, we'll get there when we have something to give you that feels like a fair exchange and a reason to support us. And we'll even tell you, for the most part, where it's going. Like, I don't know what Nick will do with his half, I don't know if he plans on donating his half to me first so I can get my goddamn thing so he can
Donate
do
to
it.
a fucking table.
We need a table. We're rolling on this glass table that everybody hates. Hates to roll on. It's a nice table, but they hate playing on it.
We're also saying halves. It's not really halves.
It's going to come down to who produces content.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. And again, that's another reason why we haven't added money directly into the equation yet. The way it stands, we kind of put it out there for the rest of the team. You'll get paid based on what you put out there. If you don't produce content, you're not going to get any of the, any of the riches or the spoils because, So you're probably going to see a nice little uptick of Botch Pit players putting in a bunch more content.
Once this recording goes out.
And, I mean, we have some unique projects coming down the way. We're not just going to completely base our careers or what we're doing based off of just covering other people's work either. But that's something for another time. So, I feel like that covers the whole, fan funding thing. I mean, I do plan on setting it up. I do. And I'm going to run it all by Nick. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw it in the next 2 weeks. But when we do it...
Don't give time frames. God damn it.
I'm doing it. But when we do that, you're going to get something back out of it. We just won't do it and then give you nothing. And I'm sorry, just giving you a day or two early, access to the videos or whatever. 2 things. 1, that's not enough because everybody's going to have access to it quickly anyway. And 2, it's not giving you anything. It's not an actual bonus to you.
No, it's not at all.
If you wait a day or two, it's just going to pop up anyway. And I mean, you could do exclusive videos for that support, but then you're screwing the people that have been listening to you in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to do either. So it comes down to how do we give something special to people that support us and not alienate and ignore the people that have been listening to us this whole time. It's a very double-edged sword, and it's a very narrow line to walk. And I assume it sounds like we're probably taking shots here, but we're not taking shots. We're just being honest with how we view fan funding. Like I'm
taking shots. Fuck them.
He's taking shots. Well,
no, I'm gonna call you out. I'm going to call you out if you perform bad practices.
You need to give something back to the people that are supporting you. That's how I look at it. And again, I'm not. It's not specific. There's a whole bunch of people out there that do it on every format. You'll find it from music artists to writers to our format video game streamers, all sorts of stuff. You're gonna find these sort of ugly practices. And while if it sounds like we're taking shots and you get offended, you should wonder why it sounds like it's a shot.
Yeah.
Because that means you understand you're not giving anything back to the people that are supporting you, and you should change that practice. If you've got people that, really care about what you're doing and are giving you money, you owe them.
Yeah.
Like, you owe them. Like, we already understand that anybody who comes and listens to our broadcast or our recordings, we owe you. You took time away from your life in general. That's time you're not going to get back to listen to us. So you should get something. It's...
Yeah, especially because you listen to us.
Especially because you listen to us. I don't know. That's just my take. And again, that's not meant to... ironically, that's not meant to be inflammatory. No. It's legit. If you're not giving back to the people that are giving you money, you're a con artist.
Yeah.
That's it. And we're a lot of things. We're sarcastic. We're assholes. But we're not con artists. Seth's a charlatan, for sure. But a con artist, nah. He may try to buy your soul. I know for a fact he's bought 2 people's souls. And they try to buy it back, and he's like, no. So they're really concerned about the long term. So we will do fan support when we have something to give you. And I think we will. Pretty soon. Like, I don't want to say, again, I'm not giving time frames.
Eventually.
No, pretty soon.
When we come to an agreement.
I think I'll be able to surprise you with the stuff I'm going to do.
Okay.
Like, I've got faith in it.
Okay.
And it's something you're already on board with. It's just a matter of...
You're not supposed to tell people this in
I
the
haven't.
recording.
I haven't. All I said is you're on board with what I'm doing, and I've got some stuff coming. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And I said I'm not going to be relying on everybody else's shit forever. That's it. That's it. So...
Dun, dun, dun.
I hope, like, all three of you that listen to me specifically are excited by that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Nick, what else we got to say? What else you got?
No, so I'm just curious about where it's all good to go. Hopefully good places.
Well, I mean, we probably just pissed off a couple people. I mean, maybe.
They deserve it.
I mean, anybody that would be that shocked by what we just said doesn't listen to us anyway.
And everyone who was upset about what we said, we're probably talking about you.
It's just, all I'm going to say is if you've got fans, treat them right.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to a certain point where you have a certain number of fans where you can't reply to every message. But so far, aside from one message that we have that I refuse to reply or designate or give any sort of, acknowledgement to, I think we've replied to everyone. Nick, typically you'll see Nick reply to every hunter. Nick will reply to every hunter reply.
Because they're the best.
Yeah, okay. And I pretty much take the rest.
Do you realize what you just did to this one dude who you didn't write the comment back to? You just
What?
put a blood hunt on him. Everyone's gonna go looking for this one dude. There you go. I'm not wrong. I may hate vampire, but I at least know some things.
So, that dude Jura was saying that I have a giveaway. And Jura was saying that I should do it as like a 1,000 subscriber celebration thing. The first person that hears this and finds who I'm talking about gets a free copy of the PDF for Cult Divinity Lost 4th edition. Happy hunting.
Hunt him.
Oh, that's not a mature thing to do, but it's absolutely fitting for us. Okay.
You have to write it in the comments.
Yeah. If you find it and you comment on it, just say tag. Do not attack. Do not be rude. Do not be... Don't... All I need you to do
Just
is
bring
say
me
tag.
their head.
Just say tag. That's it. And you'll understand why I won't reply. Like, I'm not immature to the point where I'm going to delete people's comments.
Yeah.
It's just that's not
People
how...
have opinions.
People have opinions. But if you can see the one that I didn't reply to and you can figure it out... And it doesn't count if I liked it. Like, if I gave you a like, that counts as a reply. It's not the person I'm talking about.
We like everything, even if it's insulting.
Yeah, I mean, if you come at us, I replied to the dude that said that he was like, good campaign. The guys, I was like, he's a Reaper, actually, not a ghost, but thanks for the listen regardless. Like, and again, that dude still took time out and said that it was good up until the Reaper. So... That's still, positive criticism overall. It's just that the game was too dark for him. And I'm going to warn you, at some point, you're going to get cult. And if you thought if you think the Geist game is extreme or content-wise is, like, dark, just take a look at cult. Just take a look at it. And you'll be like, oh, shit. So, I think that's it. That's really all I wanted to say.
I'm good. I think we've said everything that I think needs to be said.
And too much, for sure.
I think we cleared the air on a lot of things, a lot of mystery behind the Botch Pit, a lot of direction, and yeah, so it gives you guys some clarity, some celerity.
We ranted
on, what's going on, for what's to come in terms of content-wise, why we've made certain decisions.
I don't know if I did the right thing. But
What?
I'm sticking to it now.
What?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the PDF for cult. Like, I don't know if that was the right way to handle that.
Whatever. Blood hunt! He pleases both the vampires and the hunters.
Yay! Another special thanks to Jura. You're a cool shit, dude.
And everyone else who supports us.
Absolutely. So...
Hey, everybody, just one more thing. We opened up the official Botch Pit channel on Discord, and you can find the link to it below in the description on our website or through any of our social media channels. Welcome aboard!
Chris and Nick from the Botch Pit, I guess, checking out.
Yeah, because everyone fucking left us here at the bottom.
Yeah, right?
Bye!
Bye! That was an inflammatory one.
Oh,